I sound so weird. I like this black and white filter. I don't know. Yeah, so we are about to start our very first RayARCH critique. I still don't have a name for the series. I'm just gonna call it RayARCH critique for now. And what I'm doing now is I'm recording this on my iMac webcam. First of all, this is my new iMac, and I'm testing it out. So I figured, hey, you could use here too. I will use this. Okay, is it weird that I'm using this black and white effect? Whatever, screw it. I like it. You guys submitted things, so I'm gonna pull up the first. What's it called? I'm gonna have all the your projects on the screen, like huge. So you're just gonna see me in the corner somewhere. I just got off from work, so this is the first critique series. I don't know what to call it. Crap. I have to figure this out before I actually upload this video. Alright, first up on the series is Taysir. I'm so sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Taysir wrote, hello Ray, I'm in his name, and I study architecture at the University of Baghdad. He didn't get a high grade for his project, so he wants me to review it, which is okay. I mean, to me, when I go to architecture school, it's not because I want high grades. It's because I want to understand the whole process of it. I want to be part of the whole process. So what I'm looking at here is I can enlarge this. Oh, this is awesome. This is so convenient. Like webcam here, email here. A talent development center, and I think it means like a center where you develop and train people to become, models or whatever. I'm not too sure, but his overall design is very, very futuristic. I can honestly say that I see some Zaha Hadid in here. So here's a picture of him presenting his project. I assume this is his finals, as they call it over in Baghdad, third stage design. So he submitted a lot of his model photos, so I'm just gonna kind of critique that first. I think this is a good stage where you're at. I'm looking at his study model, which is a good thing because you guys should always build study models. It's kind of like literally the only way to understand how your space is. Honestly, I think building a physical study model is more helpful than building a 3D model on the computer because it's kind of useless. I don't like 3D models on computers. It doesn't show me anything. So I think the form of his building is very interesting. It definitely screams a bit more of a modern type of profession, which is it kind of reminds you of like people with social media branding. It reminds you of talent agencies or even schools. I can honestly, I can't even speak. I can honestly see schools being built like this. Also, it's allergy season. My voice is gone. Back to his presentation, his boards. On the top left, you see his site plan and his elevations, which are beautifully drawn. I love when I see manual rendering or like hand drawings or hand watercolor. I love that. But what I would suggest you do here is the next time, if you are planning to do watercolor renderings and present it, I would say either try to print it on watercolor paper, which would be a lot more presentable, because right now you can see all your papers kind of like crumbling together. It's good to have your title blocks, like your like site plan, and then you have the scale. It's nice to have those on your paper, but you don't need to make it so big because you want people to focus on your drawings. And if they want to know what they're looking at, they can move closer and see, oh, okay, so this is a site plan, this is a northwest elevation. So you don't have to have the text too big. Honestly, I think a font 16, font 18 would be good on the side. I like that you have every type of drawing necessary to present your project. It's a good thing. You should definitely give yourself a pat on the back, because that's not something that everyone can do for midterm. I love the way that you presented first of all, your idea is amazing because I can clearly see what your spaces are, because you have great graphics, you have great line weight. When you show your plans and your sections, you obviously show which one is the actual material that you're cutting through when you do a section, what material you're cutting through when you're doing a plan. For example, your section on the center right, the dome, I love that section so much because that includes foreground. I think it includes foreground, right? Am I looking at it wrong? I don't really know. I think it includes foreground, and you can see partially what the sphere is. And obviously, I think the sphere that you've shown on the top right corner is the auditorium, or like the either auditorium or like assembly space, which is great. I love that you made these bold gestures because that's something that is very critical in design. You want to be bold right from the start, and then you want to kind of tweak and edit towards the end. I would tone down the green because I'm looking at a lot of green, and I'm not sure if greenery is what you're really strongly feeling for your project, because that's what I'm getting right now. Like, I see a lot of green, and it feels like you're trying to show us that you are designing a landscape type of architecture versus a building. But then when I look at the other, the kind of like a snake part of the building, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's kind of like, does it need to be that shape? I would like to know by you providing more information or more, things on the side. Like, you can always pin up pictures and inspirations that you've come across in order to develop your design. So, for example, like if I was inspired by a snake, then I will put a picture of a snake in your presentation and be like, okay, so this is what I want. I want my building to look like a snake. Then you have your building plans. It looks like a snake. People can relate. Do you see what I mean? So that's what I would go for, first of all. And then second of all, I would say, I kind of lost count. I don't know if it's second of all or third of all or whatever. But looking closer to your floor plans, your first floor plan, first of all. First, second? Yeah, so what I'm looking at here is, sorry, my face is really big on the screen right now. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to read. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot of lounge spaces, a lot of seminar rooms. So I think this is like an educational facility, which is what I love designing. I love designing for schools. The use of watercolor to show your shadows and show depth in your plans, I think that's an amazing thing. And also, you did an amazing job. Great use of line weights, and I love that there's a column system that you're trying to integrate at the upper left part of the building. I think that's where the sculpting room is and fashion design is. So I think those spaces are interesting because those are not assembly spaces, but they're larger. Like, you kind of think of it as like a larger classroom, right? So obviously you're not going to give little tiny rooms to those spaces. So you kind of created this open loft space for them, which I think is great. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm not going too in depth with your projects because I can't really upload really long video files. Okay, now I'm looking at your ground floor plan, which is kind of like my favorite plan that you've shown me because it's got colors, it's very beautifully done. I don't know if your school allows you to use AutoCAD, but I think in the future, if you want to save some time, definitely draw on AutoCAD and then paint with watercolor, so you don't have to kind of like do double the work. And again, beautiful line weights, beautiful graphics. And I love that you included the landscape, which it does seem like the landscape is very important to you. So I think, if it's important to you, then definitely show it. If not, then forget about it. But, at the moment, it seems like something that it's something that you want to do. You have a great sense of scale and a great sense of using your program. Because a lot of people are given programs, and by that I mean like I give you a list of spaces I need you to build for me and design for me. And a lot of times people would be like, okay, I'll take this list. Okay, so let's see, workshop. I'll just give it like a 200 square feet room. Sounds right? No. What you did here is actually excellent. What you did here is exactly what any architect would do. A lot of times when people design, it's kind of like they become so detail-minded that they start designing the little classrooms first, and then they forget about the overall, like the bigger spaces, the spaces that people actually want to be in. Okay, so now I'm looking at the close-up of the floor plans. I see that there's an X on your assembly auditorium space. I don't know if your professor wrote that, or which I would hate because I don't like it when the professors use a red pen and write on my paper. But don't tell a professor that I said that about him or her, because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want you to get in trouble. I can only critique your graphics, how you presented your project, and the overall aesthetic of your presentation. But with what I know right now and what I see, I think your northeast elevation reads a lot better than your northwest. You have your sphere, your dome, which is great. But then I love how the northeast elevation kind of like hides it. Kind of like, if you think about it, that image, your northeast elevation image, it looks like the moon is kind of coming out from the clouds at night, which is a beautiful poetic gesture. And I think that kind of speaks to your mysterious and the mysterious type of volume that you're trying to create. Thank you for submitting your project, Taysir. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Yeah, that is it for the first episode of, I don't know what to call this series yet, so guys, help me. Okay, so that is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I will try my best, because this is very relaxing for me. Like, I come back from work, I'm tired, but I get to do this, and this is very, very awesome. And I haven't done this in a long time. Like, I feel so disconnected with my students. I feel so disconnected with teaching because I've been working, and I haven't had time to volunteer in education. Thank you so much for watching again. If you guys like this video, please share it. But remember, don't share this video with your professor, because I don't want your professor to be mad at me or to be mad at you. Does that make sense? Got it, guys? Okay. All right. Bye, guys.